Hello and welcome back to Always Ours, Chapter 20. Nezu should not be happy. He was not stupid. He noticed the H Splinter had tried to write in the dust, and had punished him for it by sending a correctional shock through the collar. He'd seen the desperate "help" carved into the staff room table, and filed it away under "unimportant." He had done the same things once, leaving messages that no one found. He told himself it was different now, that sitting on his office floor, feeding grapes to Splinter with one paw while running the other through that now silky fur, was a reward for both of them. That Splinter's compliance meant he could soon take the collar off, that he could focus on the more important things, the future. And what a future would be! He could see it, vivid, perfect. If he never found Splinter's actual pups, he'd take the UA staff and make them their pups instead. Close the gates. Turn UA into a den for real. None of their kits would ever be harmed again. Surely none of his staff could object to that. And the final piece. With Chio's help, he and his husband could have a biological pup. They'd have his fur, Splinter's size, and both of their intelligence. He could almost feel that pup in his arms. He could almost hear that pup calling him father. It'd be the final chain. It would be perfect. And yet, as he looked down at those glassy eyes, saw his own madness reflected in the silver collar, a horror ran through him. Cold, absolute. This wasn't a den, it was a cage. Not just for Splinter, but for every kit. For that hypothetical pup. For himself. For the first time in forever, clarity cut through the fog. Anger flooded him. Real anger, not the possessive fury when someone looked at Splinter too long. This was anger at himself for even dreaming of that future. Anger at whoever had warped his instincts so thoroughly that he could imagine imprisoning children and calling it protection. He slipped away from Splinter's drugged form and grabbed an extra control remote from his desk drawer, shoved it into a cleaning bot. With trembling paws, he programmed it. Deliver to power loader. Priority urgent. Do not log this action. One small act of rebellion. Hope. Maybe guilt. When the anger faded and the warm fog returned, he came back to Splinter, forcing himself to smile as he thought, "If I show Martin our new home, wouldn't that be nice? And then 2 weeks without kits to shore up the defenses, to make our den impenetrable. And then bliss. No one will ever harm our kits again. No one will harm my husband again. Everything will be all right. Soon." His last small act of resistance was to leave the office door wide open as he led Splinter down the hall. "Someone, anyone, please notice. Please stop me." But no one did. They were fading again. Not writing meant vanishing, like a badly exposed photograph. But writing always went wrong. Katsuki had been right to call them out. But what choice did they have? They tried to stick to mundane things. No homework, a good day, but nothing was ever safe. How could they have known their quirk could do this? At first, they thought it was fun, that they could help, that anyone would be tempted to try if given the chance. Only now, after Hosu, after seeing what happened to Splinter, to Leonardo, to all of them, did they realize the truth. Their power could help, but also destroy. Leonardo's tail was now fully visible, curled protectively around the back of his chair. His eyes were slitted, vertical pupils tracking every movement in the classroom. Smoke curled from his nostrils as he hovered beside Izuku like a guardian angel or a dragon guarding its hoard. They felt sick looking at him. How could they have known that changing one result at a festival would awaken something so monstrous in Leonardo? They might have a godlike power here, but they were still human, still in need of advice. Splinter's sensei would know what to do, if only they could talk to him. But Splinter didn't come to class. Instead, Aizawa walked in, looking more grim than ever, shadows under his eyes deeper than usual. "Settle down, Hellions. I'm taking over for your sensei until summer camp," he said flatly. Only they heard the muttered addition, "or until we rescue him." Rescue him? Their hearts stopped. "Is Splinter okay? What happened? Should I try to write something? But what do I write?" They barely noticed the world blurring around them, barely registered Aizawa's lecture about the upcoming training camp. A classmate nudged them, and they realized the homeroom was over. They'd have all next class to figure this out. And who was to say there really was a problem? Perhaps Splinter was just sick. And then, walking to their next class, they saw him. Splinter. They almost called out, a greeting, a question, but stopped cold. He wasn't moving right. His steps were mechanical, dragging. His head hung low, ears flat against his skull. Their stomach turned as they got closer and saw his face properly. Glassy-eyed, unseeing, Principal Netsu's paw gripping his scruff, guiding him with sharp tugs like he was a misbehaving pet. Splinter didn't even glance at the class as they passed. Around them, their classmates reacted. "Is Splinter-sensei okay?" Uraraka whispered, concern written across her face. "He looks wrong, Karo," Suage said bluntly. "Like he's not really there." Even Katsuki looked disturbed, jaw tight, hands clenched. Leonardo's smoke increased, his tail lashing once before curling tighter. A low, warning rumble emanated from his chest, and there they felt their world tilt. Did I do that? That's not romance. That's a nightmare. The realization hit like a physical blow. They'd written that Netsu and Splinter should be together, thinking that it would be sweet, thinking it would give Splinter someone who understood him, thinking Netsu deserved someone. And with horrifying clarity they knew, this is my mess. I have to fix it. But I can't let myself vanish, and I can't leave Splinter like that. The contradiction pulled at them. Two impossible demands. All Might could help. The teachers could easily mount a rescue, but they can't do anything with us in the way. The summer camp. If the students are at camp, the adults can act. But the camp isn't for another week. Splinter doesn't have a week. Their hand drifted to their journal, fingers tracing the worn cover. If I write that time has passed, will it? Everything else I've written has happened. I could skip us forward to the camp. Give the adults time to rescue him. But what would the fallback of tampering with time do? They changed emotions, changed events, changed memories, but time itself? I'm sure it'll be fine. Splinter needs rescuing today. That can only happen if none of us are in the way. They pulled out the journal, pen hovering over a blank page. Their hand shook more than usual. The journal felt heavier in their lap, warm to the touch. Static crackled at the edges of their vision, making the hallway lights flicker. Something's wrong, a small voice whispered in their mind. This is different. This is bigger. But Splinter's glassy eyes haunted them. Netsu's possessive grip, the mechanical way he'd walked. I'm sure it'll be fine, right? They wrote quickly before they could second guess. Time passes. The summer camp helps, and the adults do what they need to do. The words glowed brighter than usual, not the soft golden shimmer of their other changes, but a harsh light that hurt to look at. The journal felt hot, almost burning their hands. For a moment they thought they heard screaming. Then they looked up. The classroom was empty. Not empty like everyone had left for lunch, empty like no one had been there at all. The desks were covered in dust. The windows were dark. The clock on the wall had stopped. What? They blinked. The students were on the bus to camp. It would be fine. It had to be fine. Leonardo doesn't know why he's been hovering over Izuku since internships. Doesn't know why his instincts scream, "Nest, baby, claimed!" every time he looks at the smaller boy. Or why he knows the claim comes from the other kid, Raphael in 1B with the same turtle quirk. He does not know why seeing Raphael makes something in his chest ache with recognition and longing. He doesn't know why he glares at the class, daring them to make a move towards Izuku. He does not know why he wants to show off the littlest nest baby to someone. Who? Who is so important that Leonardo knows he has to protect Izuku until they come home? Who else is so important besides Raphael, when he can feel 4 almost strings of mind, family, love, tugging at him from somewhere just out of reach? He curls his tail closer, smoke drifting from his nostrils. He can feel small wings shifting under his shell, trying to emerge. Zuko leads into him, unafraid, and Leonardo's heart aches with a longing he doesn't have words for. The only thing missing is the person he is waiting for, the person he knows should be protecting him. Bad protector, Nest challenged, protect, do not let it go again. The word echoes in his mind without context. Again, not again, please not again. He doesn't understand any of it, but he knows, with the kind of certainty that lives in his bones, that he will guard this Nest baby with his life. He will keep everyone away until the rest of his family comes home, and he will never, ever let them go again. Donatello stared at his hands. They were different, webbed, almost like a frog, and at the end of those webs, sharp little claws that he thinks might be venomous if he wanted them to be. The patterns on his arm grow brighter, as if he were a deep-sea creature. He can feel, just below his shell, a powerfully finned tail is starting to form. The workshop around him was filled with projects he didn't remember starting. Complex mechanisms, half-finished inventions, sketches of things that looked almost familiar but not quite right. His head hurt, like someone had taken a month of memories and tried to compress them into a single moment. You okay, Donnie? May asked, not looking up from her welding. Yeah, just tired. But he wasn't tired, he was terrified, because when he looks at her, all he can see is mine, mine, mine. And he doesn't know how much longer he can hold off the urge to drag May somewhere dark, curl over her, protect her until the nest is complete, until he can show his chosen off to someone. Someone that he wants to impress? He just has to keep holding on. Surely with the hero students out of class, he can get in with the nurse or the counselor or even Splinter Sensei. Why would he fix that last snippet? Does he feel the need to preen both himself and May? What is going on with him? Michelangelo doesn't know what to do. He's changing, and he doesn't know why. He's been hoarding food at school now. Potatoes mostly, but also cheese, tomato sauce, flour, and pineapples? Why is he hoarding these ingredients? The potatoes make some sense, but the rest? Why does he give an image of himself and 3 others, sitting around a table, enjoying the way the cheese stretches on the crust? Why does he keep making these strange, keening sounds that sound almost like chirps? And why, above all, does he keep wondering why he wants the hero students home yesterday? He doesn't even know any hero students. He's perfectly content in the management course, helping lunch rush. But something keeps telling him that he needs to get the food ready for when the others come home. He needs to make sure the oldest actually eats. He needs to make sure they all eat. Because when they are fed and happy, they can't fly away from him. They can't vanish and leave him alone again. They'll have to stay if he had all the food, didn't they? Ryuko doesn't know why her instincts are screaming, hatchlings need you, go to them! Well, neither that since Hosu's been getting worse. She found herself rubbing her scent into the softest blankets she can find, for the one her instinct scream is, baby! She finds herself moving from the empty nest that her instinct scream should be full to the door, back to the empty nest, back to the door. And she knows she should be telling Rumi that something is very, very wrong with her. She knows she should be putting the quirk-canceling cuffs on. And yet, her instinct scream, Hatchling is in danger! And so, she doesn't do either of the things she should do. She just keeps pacing and trying to ignore the way it feels like she's crying inside. It'll be fine. She's sure it'll be fine. And that's the end of the chapter.